In 2018, Stewart Haas Racing put up the most dominant team performance seen in NASCAR history, coming at Talladega Superspeedway, one of the most unlikely tracks for such a run to occur. But it all starts with 4 teammates sweeping the first 2 rows in qualifying, before running a race that team owners could only dream of their drivers doing. It was a showing of speed by one team never seen in the modern era of NASCAR, and it most likely can never be replicated again. The performance was 9 years in the making, with team owner Gene Haas starting up Stewart Haas Racing with co-owner Tony Stewart in 2009 as a 2-car operation, quickly winning a title in just their 3rd year of existence, with Tony Stewart behind the wheel. It would take just 3 years for the team to return to the top of the NASCAR world, when newly brought in driver Kevin Harvick immediately won the team their 2nd championship, firmly solidifying them as a top team in NASCAR. 4 years later in 2018, they were in the middle of what would end up becoming their best statistical season in their existence, winning 10 out of the 26 regular season races and putting all 4 of their cars into the playoffs. Once the round of 16 ended, none of the drivers would be eliminated, allowing each of them to make it into the round of 12. They would start off the round with what no team wants to see, when Clint Bowyer blew a tire with 9 to go, bringing out the caution while his teammate Eric Almirola and his other teammate Kurt Busch raced for the win. Almirola, more importantly, was still searching for his first win of the year, and his first since joining Stewart Haas Racing, after coming close on numerous occasions, including getting turned on the white flag from the lead of the Daytona 500 earlier in the year. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be Almirola's day to win, getting cycled back to 6th after many cars stayed out, while he would pit from the lead, ultimately leading to him hitting the wall and causing a crash on the back straightaway. Entering the wildcard of Talladega in the playoffs, with 2 drivers below the cut line is a nightmare scenario for any 4-car operation, knowing there's always a looming possibility that their cars could get caught up in someone else's mess, seen time and time and time again. But Stewart Haas Racing must have asked himself prior to this week, what if we just stay away from the other 36 cars and run our own race?
If you told Jimmy Johnson, hey, go come to Talladega and you're going to out-qualify both of those cars, you'd have a great shot to win a championship, but win this pole rather. But here's Eric Almirola, faster than Chase Elliott already and Jimmy Johnson, so you still have 3 more of these cars to go.
He definitely found a little more speed from round 1. He's going to need it to be able to compete against the laps that Clint Bowyer and Kurt Busch put down in that first round. 49.06.
Who's coming out right behind him, so he's going to beat Harvick at an 0.32.
That's the fastest lap that's been turned. You hear the crowd, they're appreciative of Clint Bowyer. Oh, he's definitely getting into the 48-second barrier now. What a lap for Kurt Busch. Comes through the tri-oval a 1/10 of a second faster than Clint Bowyer. 48.90.
3 of the 4 cars in qualifying would have 2/10 up on the next closest competitor, with Kurt Busch gapping Chase Elliott by a whopping 3/10 in qualifying, an insane mark considering it's just wide open around the inside lane. Teams being fast in superspeedway qualifying wasn't something new to the sport, as every year at that point, Hendrick would dominate Daytona 500 qualifying just to fold in the race. So how would it go for Stewart Haas? Immediately on lap 1, they got into formation, becoming single file between the 4 of them by the time they entered turn 1. Anytime 5th on back became side by side, they would begin to break away from the pack, and by the end of lap 1 they demonstrated their strength, forcing the Hendrick cars to single file out behind them just to stay in their draft. A Jeffrey Earnhardt spin would bring out a yellow, setting up a lap 15 restart, again seeing the Stewart Haas cars form a single file line by turn 1. 4 laps after the restart, and they had gapped the 8th place car Joey Logano by nearly 6/10, showing the field that if they went side by side, they would lose the front draft, changing the way the field would race. Shortly into the race, Dale Jr. pointed out the speed of the cars.
With Keselowski.
Look at how far they've fallen back. I mean, the speed in the Stewart Haas cars is ridiculous. I mean, they're literally breaking the draft. We haven't seen that in years.
Just 25 laps after the restart, the top 8 gapped the 9th place car of Denny Hamlin and the main pack by a whopping 9 seconds. But Stewart Haas didn't need 8 cars in the pack to do this, they just needed 4, as all it took was Brad Keselowski having an unscheduled stop to break up the final half of the pack and allow the Stewart Haas racing cars to drive away. 14 laps of being by themselves, and the gap to 8th grew to over 8 seconds, while 9th now sat 16 seconds behind at a super speedway. Of course they would easily win stage 1, sweeping the first 4 positions, but they would relinquish the lead to Ryan Blaney after pit stops, who held it for 6 laps, until a quick Jimmie Johnson yellow gave control right back to the Stewart Haas racing cars, who ended up back 1st through 4th. For the first time all day on a restart they would have a slip-up, allowing the 18 car of Kyle Busch to challenge for the lead, eventually becoming the first driver to pass and lead a lap under green against them. However, it was a short-lived success, as the choice of not blocking them on the inside lane would be to Busch's detriment, as when the race single-filed out 4 laps later, he was sent straight to the back. Side note, Kyle Larson's team cooked him here.
What are we doing? We complain about the car being slow and then we go to the outside by ourselves. I'm not driving it.
At the halfway point in the race, again the SHR cars had dragged 4 of their cars out to a sizable lead over the rest of the field. But for the first time all day, the second pack would begin to close in, being led by Daniel Suarez. Unfortunately for the fans watching in attendance, the attempt did not work out, leading to a shorter breakaway of just 6 cars this time. A Kyle Larson spin would bring out a caution, leading to a shootout to end stage 2, which obviously Stewart Haas Racing won, this time being won by Harvick. But the cost of sweeping the first 4 positions in the stage again would be losing their track position to the cars who pitted under the caution, cycling the SHR cars to 11th, 12th, 14th, and 15th, their lowest point of the race. Shockingly, for the first time all day the racing would be fairly entertaining, with multiple laps of 3-wide racing while the SHR cars weren't up there, as they tried slicing their way through the field. But as soon as Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick made it back to the top 3, the field would single file its way out. J-May McMurray spun on the triable grass with 51 to go, putting the teams right on the window to make it from there on fuel if they pitted. This would lead everyone down pit road, allowing Kurt Busch to win the race off pit road, while the other 3 cars were close behind, in 3rd, 5th, and 6th. On the restart again the excellent teamwork would show, when Clint Bowyer let Eric Almirola in line immediately after taking the green, allowing them to form up on the inside line, where they would stay and battle the Penske cars who had just formed up on the outside line, for the next handful of laps. SHR would prevail, forcing Penske to get in a single file line behind them, and hope to stay in the draft as they broke away into a 12-car pack, until a debris caution for a tire rolling onto the grass brought out the caution shortly after with 27 laps to go. When the green flew with 24 to go, the team stayed committed to each other once again, immediately sticking to the plan they had done all day long. Another side note, the skew on the 41 is insane, man. I cannot believe they got away with that. 3 laps later, the field was again single file though.
21 to go at Talladega, single file, and that's all because of the speed of those front 4 cars. This is something we have not seen here in forever. To 4 cars, a group of cars, be able to control the pace like this and drive single file. Hey, it's only been 3 laps since the restart. I mean, normally we're double wide, 3 wide, but their speed has just taken away that option from their competition.
With 9 laps remaining, the move would be made, when Brad Keselowski got tired of riding behind Penske affiliate Paul Menard and drove to the outside with help from his teammate. Any other time at Talladega, this is a move that works out for them, and they form a second lane and start racing. The problem with that this time though is, if you go side by side behind the SHR cars that day, they would drive away. So what happens next shouldn't be a shock.
He comes up to the back bumper, the 88 of Alex Bowman.
Guys, that's a huge mistake by Ryan Blaney. That was the time to go. He had to follow his teammates.
So now they can't quite clear Menard. They've got to get about 3 or 4 cars to clear Menard.
While the second pack refused to organize and fought for that top 5 finish, the Stewart Haas racing cars pulled away by over 3 seconds and were ready to sweep the top 4 positions in the race and settle the win amongst themselves. Until the race for 5th got too extreme and Alex Bowman self-spun, setting up a fuel mileage overtime finish. The first SHR domino would fall when Kevin Harvick ran out of fuel coming to the overtime restart, forcing him to bring it down pit road, ending the chances at a Stewart Haas Racing 1-4 finish. On the restart, again shockingly Bowyer would let his teammate Kurt Busch in line, while Almirola got the push from Paul Menard on the outside, putting the teammates side by side for the lead for the first time all day. Kurt Busch would pull ahead through 3 and 4 with 2 to go, blocking Almirola high, leaving Clint Bowyer to fight with Stenhouse third on the bottom. Once the white flew, a multi-car pileup broke out in turn 1, but Nascar would let the field race back to the line, to the detriment of Kurt Busch, who would be the second SHR Domino to fall, but it would lead to a career moment for his teammate.
Doesn't have any help. He's going to get up here and give a push to the 10, but he doesn't have any help behind him.
Almirola
Here he goes.
moves
Almirola
to the outside.
The 41's out of gas. Almirola to the lead.
Almirola
Big
comes out of
run.
4. Does he have enough gas to get to the finish line? Almirola all the way to the bottom of the track. Eric Almirola is going to win at Talladega.
Yes, I fucking love you guys!
When it was all said and done, Stewart Haas Racing would finish 1st and 2nd with Eric Almirola and Clint Bowyer, and 14th and 25th with Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick. Although the race was a dud racing-wise, being one of the worst Talladega races in recent memory, unless you're a big SHR guy, then I'm sure you've had that race on repeat for 6 years. It was still a spectacle from the excellence of Stewart Haas Racing. Combined, they led 155 of the 193 laps, while spending 137 laps patrolling the top 4 positions, an insane 69% of the total laps. Naturally, the Talladega fans retreated to an all-time classic anyways, just 1 year later to wash all the memories of this race away.
Another hood flap flies off. Oh, around goes the 18. The 42 collects the 17 as well. The 62 upside down.
So factoring in the track this came at, the fact that they spent nearly 70% of the race in the first 4 positions, and if a caution never flew late in the race they would have finished where they started, I believe that Stewart Haas Racing's performance during the 2018 playoff race was the most dominant team performance in NASCAR history, and we will likely never see something like that again, especially at a track like Talladega. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. 95% of my viewers aren't subscribed, so why not help bring that down? Anyways, I'll see you for the next video.